Alright guys, before we get started, I'd like to thank those of you who have hit the like button and also those of you who have commented on every video that they've watched, because it's so important for our engagement and for actually getting the word out, and it brings this content to new people. And if you're new and you haven't already, make sure to do it. Click on the little red subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and join the League of Mad Cat Artists. Let's get great together day by day. Let's start drawing. Hello and welcome back. In today's Mad Cat Art Series episode, we're going to be breaking down brushes versus brush pens versus ink brush pens. Here we have a Pigma brush. Next up we have the Pentel Fude brush pen, medium size. Artist Kim Jung-gi used this brush in a lot of his art demonstrations. And lastly, we have a size 3 round standard brush coupled with India ink. So to start this demonstration, I basically had already sketched the Incredible Hulk, Wolverine, and the Punisher. I'm going to ink each one of these characters individually using a different brush to give you guys a comprehensive review of each one. This way we can determine which one is best for you. So for the Incredible Hulk, I selected the Pigma brush. Let's get started. So right off the bat, for small details and very fine areas, using this brush very lightly is easy to control and you're able to work with confidence. So right off the back, I love that. Pushing down on this pen allows me to get heavy weight on lines for indications of shadows and lighting. And I really think that that's nice also because I feel confident that I'm not going to make a mistake and I have a lot of control with this brush pen. Yeah, look how beautiful these thick lines are just by me pushing down then releasing to give me thick and thin lines. This is a great attribute to this brush. Right from the jump reviewing this brush pen, I would have to say it's super versatile and very beginner friendly. And if you are experienced, you'll be able to maximize its potential. So a plus on both sides and also intermediate. So on all three spectrums from beginner, intermediate, and expert, I would rank this brush pen very high. Thumbs up, should be in your arsenal of pens. But if there's a downside to this pen, it's definitely coloring heavy black areas. This is not the pen for that. It doesn't work like a real brush would. And so I would say that's a weakness because then you'll have to use another type of pen, brush, or something else to do the heavy black work. So I would say that would be the only downside to this brush. Also, I don't know how long the ink will last in this brush and when it'll dry out. And I think those few things are things to consider when making this purchase. It's not expensive, so not very much thought has to go into it, but just things to consider. Next up, we have the standard round brush, size 3, with the India ink, and we're going to be inking the Wolverine image. Immediately when using this brush, I get an extreme sense of caution, and I think that has to do with me holding the ink bottle and also dipping the brush in the ink, not wanting to splash or spray droplets all over the page. It is a little nerve-wracking, but I will say this, immediately I get a real nice crisp and beautiful black, just a velvet looking black. It is pristine and it is professional and it is probably the most desirable in the sense of black tones. Now when it comes to the small details, holding this brush very lightly and being super light, you can really get some real nice small details. Not quite as much control as the Pigma brush pen, but it has its own flair and its own sense of character. And I can honestly say that you should definitely try this one. Now when covering large areas, this brush is a monster. I really like it. Lots of precision, lots of control, and this is a very inexpensive brush. When I pull out my Winsor Sable Hair number 3, this thing is beautiful and creates just some amazing line work. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description below of all the items I've used and all the items I've talked about, just in case you guys want to try some of the tools that I've been working with. As you start to become more aware of your craft and you start purchasing these bigger brushes, you'll find that care for the brush is very important. So make sure to wash them, keep them nice and sharp, and keep them clean and in an area where they won't get disturbed or damaged. Overall, I'm going to say that this brush is probably the most versatile, and I feel more comfortable with this than the first one for sure, just because I know that my inkwell isn't going to run out because I know I have ink. I think that's a very big thing. Also, the fact that I could get thin lines, thick lines, and I can cover thick areas without having to switch my brush or pen or instrument. This indicates speed and, more importantly, efficiency. So next we're going to be inking the Punisher with the Pentel Fude brush pen. So we remove the cap, give it a little squeeze, and here we go. So it has a reservoir of ink in the belly of the pen, and you just squeeze it and the ink goes into a chamber where it then soaks the brush. So right off the bat, getting really small details is no problem for this pen brush at all. In fact, out of all three brushes, this pen brush is probably got the finest line work of the three. Now they make this brush in extra fine, medium, and large. I do believe in extra large. I'm not exactly sure on those last two, but this is a medium and it's getting some very small lines. Very impressed. One thing to note though that caught me unaware was that this pen does bleed relatively easy, and the pen seems to kind of spread. It almost seems like a ballpoint type ink. I'm not exactly sure on the type of ink. Be aware that this pen does have a huge unpredictable side to it. I believe that mistakes lend to an art piece a lot of times make the best art pieces, but in this case, this unpredictability can ruin your artwork, so be very aware. You know, the artist Kim Jung-yi is an artist who has drawn for years and years and knows exactly what he sees, and when he makes mistakes, he capitalizes upon it by smearing, smudging, or even just adding to that element. And being a great artist and drawing for so many years, you'll be able to manipulate even mistakes into beautiful pieces of art. So this pen is not for a novice. This pen is definitely for an experienced artist, and it can create some very nice effects. It has its own advantages and disadvantages. So if you decide to buy this pen, this one is not so expensive as well. It's about a $10 purchase. I would say that there are better pens if you're just starting off. And even though you see all these great artists drawing or inking with them, that doesn't mean that the pen does the magic. I've seen people take ballpoint pens and make amazing work. So don't think that the pen is the magical element. The magical element is practice, time, and training. So in conclusion, I would say that this pen is most definitely an expert pen, and you should have at least a couple years of experience inking under your belt before you can really take advantage of the full potential of this pen. One thing also I want to make sure that you guys know is that I don't know what kind of ink this is. The package came in a Japanese package and it has Japanese writing. I don't read Japanese, so I got some of the ink on my hand, and that stuff would not come off for nothing. It took a couple of, like washes before it would even get remotely off. By the next day it came off. I think the sweat of your fingers is really what does it. It was weird, but anyways, yeah, if you guys buy this, be careful, because if you get that ink on your fingers, start rubbing things, trying to do what other artists do, you're gonna find that ink does not come off. Don't use something you really like t-shirts or something that you don't want to stain, because that stuff, I don't know what it's made of, it don't come off for nothing. I used alcohol, I used everything, so be careful. But in conclusion, I think it's a great pen. Overall, I would say if I had to rate these pens, I would say that the Pigma brush is definitely going to be the versatile pen for all three stages of artists. I think all three stages, from beginner, intermediate, and expert, can get a lot of use out of that Pigma brush. And for the price, I think that one there is probably a really good buy. Now, if you're going to take your art to another level and really push yourself into that professional level, you have to invest in your equipment. You have to invest in your product. And I would say that buying a great brush and learning to ink properly will lend to versatility at some point in your quest. Buying a really nice brush is important, and there really is no way around it. But brush and ink, second to none. It is definitely the number one in my opinion. I think if you ask any of the great inkers that are currently in today's world, they'll all tell you if they had to choose one tool to use with ink, it would be the brush, hands down. So standard brush and ink for the number one spot. Secondly, I would say it's the Pigma brush, which is very versatile and again works on all three levels of stages in art ability. Plus, it's very affordable and very easy to replace. I would say the one drawback is you're going to replace it a lot, especially if you use this to cover a lot of dark areas. And I would say coming up last is definitely the Pentel brush. It is such a loose cannon. It really is. You don't know what you're going to get. It's very unpredictable, and you really got to be a master of this pen. Well, that's my ranking on these pens. It's my personal opinion. You guys find your own. Buy one of each, give it a shot, see what you think. Maybe you like one better than the other. That's what this whole thing's about, trying new things. Well, with that being said, if you guys like content like this, please subscribe. I put up a video every single day. Also hit that bell icon. This way you can be notified when a new video is posted. Please leave a like and a comment down below just so I know which way to gauge my videos. I really want to make sure I'm putting out the right content for the people who are watching, and I want to make sure to cover the things you care about. So leave a comment, let me know what you guys like, let me know what you didn't like, and I will do my best to keep coming up with creative ways to teach, instruct, and share knowledge. So until then, you guys, thank you for watching and keep drawing.